Good morning, my fellow hunters, lore lovers, and brave souls willing to look out over a dark harbor after midnight. Welcome back to Supernaturalist. It's a podcast where we explore the monsters, myths, curses, legends, and supernatural weirdness behind supernatural, one episode at a time. Today we're sailing into Season 3, Episode 6, Red Sky at Morning. And this episode gives us a wonderfully creepy combination. A ghost ship, a drowned woman who dies nowhere near open water, a sailor's vengeful spirit, a cursed hand with old occult roots, and the return of Bella Talbot, played by the lovely Lauren Cohan. And she once again proves that she can steal a supernatural artifact, ruin Dean's day, and still look like she's late for champagne at a private auction. She's amazing. And a lot of fans don't like her, but I like. This episode has one foot in nautical ghost stories and the other in classic occult object lore. It's atmospheric, strange, a little campy, and full of that early season supernatural charm where a case can be creepy and funny and emotionally revealing all at once. So grab your salt, your iron, and maybe avoid any mysterious ships glowing in the fog, because today we're talking about ghost ships and death omens. The episode begins with Sheila Case, and she's jogging near the harbor at night. Already that's a problem. In the world of supernatural, nighttime jogging near water is just asking for trouble. Sheila sees something impossible. She can't believe her eyes. She thinks she's just seeing things. And it's the apparition of a ship in the harbor. Not a normal ship, not a boat passing in the mist. It's a ghostly vessel that really appears like a warning from another time. It's one of those old ships. And later, while Sheila is in the shower, a figure appears and attacks her. And she dies by drowning, even though she's standing inside her own home. How do you drown in a shower, right? That opening is such a strong supernatural hook because it takes the danger of the ocean and it brings it inside. You don't have to be at sea. You don't have to be swimming. You don't even have to be near the ship anymore. Once you've seen it, the omen has marked you. And that's classic death omen storytelling. So let's talk about ghost ships, shall we? Ghost ships are one of the oldest and most enduring legends in maritime folklore. For centuries, sailors told stories about phantom vessels appearing on dark waters, and they're often seen as warnings of death, storms, disaster, or some unresolved tragedy. These legends work so well because the sea already feels supernatural. It's vast and it's unpredictable, and it hides bodies and wrecks and treasure, monsters, secrets, and history. A ghost ship is the perfect symbol for someone that should have disappeared but keeps coming back. So in Red Sky at Morning, the ship is the Espiritu Santo. My apologies. And it functions as a death omen. If you see it, you're going to die unless the source of the curse is stopped. And the show gives that legend a very supernatural twist. The ship itself isn't really the killer. It's a warning. The true danger is tied to the ghost of a sailor who was betrayed and hanged for treason, and he was mutilated after death and bound to a cycle of vengeance. So this isn't just a haunted ship story, it's a revenge story. And like so many ghost stories, the haunting is really about injustice that never stayed buried. And one of the creepiest things about this episode is the way the victims die. They drown, not in the ocean, not in a lake, not in a bathtub. They drown wherever the spirit finds them. That makes this sailor's ghost feel powerful and deeply unnatural. It brings the sea with it, and it carries its method of death like a curse, and it forces that death onto others. The difference is, with other stories, is sailor finds people who have killed someone else in the past, and I'll get to that later. There's something especially disturbing about drowning as a supernatural murder because it's invisible from the outside until it's too late. The victim can be standing in a bathroom, and a house and a place that should be ordinary and safe. And suddenly the body behaves as if it's underwater. That's good ghost horror. The spirit doesn't just appear and scare people, it recreates doom. The ghost is the heart of the episode. And it's the sailor who was accused of treason, and he was hanged, and then had his hand removed after death. And that detail right there matters, because in ghost lore, violence done to the body can keep a spirit restless. A body that is desecrated, divided, or denied peace becomes a powerful anchor for haunting. And that's exactly what's happening here. The sailor's death isn't finished because the injustice around it was never resolved. His hand becomes an occult artifact, and his story becomes distorted, while his pain becomes a weapon. And he targets people connected by a specific sin. They were involved in the death of a family member, as I mentioned previously. This is what makes the haunting feel more intentional. The sailor isn't killing at random. He's drawn to betrayal with families because his own death is tied to betrayal by family. That gives the Monster of the Week plot a thematic spine. This is an episode about what family owes family, which, of course, is exactly what Sam and Dean are fighting about. Now for the Hand of Glory. In European occult tradition, a Hand of Glory is usually described as a severed hand of a hanged man, often dried or preserved, and used as a magical tool. In some legends, thieves used it as a charm to open locks, freeze people in place, or keep households asleep while crimes were being committed. It's creepy folklore. The hand isn't just a body part, it's power harvested from death. And in this episode, the sailor's hand has been removed and turned into this kind of occult object. Bella tells the Winchesters they need to retrieve it, then salt and burn it, because that's the physical anchor keeping the ghost active. But knowing Bella, she's yanking their chain. But this fits perfectly into Supernatural's ghost rules. Find the remains, salt and burn, break the haunting. And again, Bella is involved, so it's not that simple. So yes, Bella Talbot is back, and thank goodness, because this episode would be far less entertaining without her. Bella is one of those characters who walks into a room and immediately changes the temperature. She's very clever, she's stylish, she's smug, and usually lying before anyone has even asked her a question. And in this episode, she's operating under the name Alex, while she charms Gertrude Case, Sheila's aunt, and positions herself as someone who can solve supernatural mystery. But Bella's not there out of compassion. She never is. She's actually there for the artifact. Where Sam and Dean see a cursed object that needs to be destroyed, Bella sees a payday. She manipulates the brothers, she gets access to the Maritime Museum, she tricks Dean, she flirts with Dean, she steals the Hand of Glory, and she sells it to a client. And then the curse turns around and looks at her, because Bella sees the ghost ship. And it makes sense since she gave it away or sold it. That is such a satisfying narrative move. Bella spends the episode treating the supernatural as merchandise, something sellable, like a profit for herself. But the supernatural doesn't care how expensive your coat is or how clever your exit strategy might be. If you mess with the curse will mess back. And the Maritime Museum sequence is one of the most fun parts of the episode because it briefly turns supernatural into a weird little heist story. Sam has to distract Gertrude, who is very interested in him, while Dean and Bella go after the Hand of Glory. Poor Sam. Jared plays Sam's discomfort so well here. It's awkward and funny and just uncomfortable enough that you're relieved when the scene moves on. In the meantime, Dean is trying not to get played by Bella and absolutely gets played by Bella, because that's what Bella does. She doesn't overpower the Winchesters. She outmaneuvers them. Her greatest weapon isn't a gun, though she is clearly willing to use one. Her real weapon is confidence, and she knows how to read people, how to exploit their assumptions, and how to vanish with the valuable object before anyone realizes the room is empty. She isn't the ghost of the week, but she's absolutely the problem of the week. And Once Sam and Dean realize the victims all share this connection, the case takes on a darker emotional meaning. The people marked by the ghost ship were involved in the death of a family member. And that matters because this episode is surrounded by family tension. The sailor was killed because of his brother. The victims are tied to a family death. Bella refuses to fully confess what happened to her in her own past. And Sam and Dean are still living under the shadow of Dean's deal. Dean sold his soul to bring Sam back. Sam is furious, he's terrified, and he's desperate to save his brother. And Dean is trying to act like he's fine because Winchester would rather make a joke than admit he's scared. So the case mirrors the brothers' emotional conflict. How far do you go for family? What does family cost? What do you owe the people you love? And what happens when love and guilt become tangled together? Now, this is why Supernatural works so well when it's firing on all cylinders. The monster plot isn't separate from the emotional plot. It reflects it. And the ghost ship is about family betrayal. The Winchester story is about family sacrifice. Both are haunted. Now for summoning the captain's ghost. The solution to the case isn't just destroying the Hand of Glory, because Bella has already sold it, so that's impossible anyway. Instead, they have to dig deeper into the story behind the haunting. They summon the ghost of the ship captain, the sailor's brother, who had him killed. When the two spirits confront each other, they merge and vanish, which breaks the cycle. It's very quick, and I found that it was a little odd that it was so quick and not really a fight. But this is a really interesting ghost story resolution because it's not just about burning remains. It's actually about forcing the truth into the open. The haunting ends when the betrayal is confronted directly. Now I get that, but the fight itself was just too quick. Otherwise, the message makes sense. So the sailor's rage had a target. The captain's guilt had a shape. And once both spirits are bound together, the curse collapses. That gives the episode more mythic feeling. The ship, the omen, the hand, the drowned victims, all of it traces back to a broken bond between brothers. And that's not subtle, but it is effective because, again, this is Supernatural. If there's a haunted brother story available, we're absolutely sailing right into it. After Bella is saved because she saw the ship, so she's no longer cursed. So after she's saved, she gives Sam and Dean $10,000, which is very Bella. It's not a heartfelt apology. It's not a full explanation. It's just money. She admits she was involved in someone's death, but she refuses to share more. At this point, that line feels like another little piece of the mystery surrounding her character, and she plays it so well. Bella's not just greedy. She's running from something. She has secrets beneath the polished surface that she shows everybody. And this episode lets us glimpse that without fully opening the door. And that right there makes her more compelling. She's still manipulative, she's still selfish, and she still absolutely deserves Dean's suspicion. But there's a shadow behind her, and Lauren Cohan lets us feel that shadow without overplaying it. So the episode ends with Dean wanting to go to Atlantic City and have fun with the money because he's Dean. Of course he does. We're talking about Dean here, right? But underneath is something sadder. Dean's trying to enjoy what little time he has left, and Sam's not having it. Dean apologizes for the pain his deal is causing Sam, but Sam hits him with the real issue. He doesn't want Dean to worry about him. He wants Dean to care about himself. That line cuts straight through the entire season 3 emotional arc. Dean's sacrifice came from love, but it also came from his inability to value his own life. Sam sees and feels that. He's furious because Dean's selflessness has become another kind of wound. So after all the ghost ships and cursed hands and Bella schemes, the episode comes back to the real haunting of season 3. Dean has less than a year to live, and Sam is watching him pretend that it doesn't matter. Why Red Sky at Morning works. Red Sky at Morning isn't just a ghost ship episode. It's a story about omens, guilt, betrayal, and the supernatural consequences of family violence. The ghost ship gives the episode atmosphere. The Hand of Glory gives it occult texture. Bella gives it spark, and Gertrude gives it comedy. And Sam and Dean, they give it emotional weight. It's a strange blend of nautical horror and family drama, and that blend is exactly why it belongs on Supernaturalist, because folklore is rarely only about monsters. It's about what people fear, what people hide, what people owe, and what comes back when the truth is left to rot. My final thoughts. Red Sky at Morning reminds us that the sea is one of humanity's oldest haunted places. A ship appearing in the mist can be a warning. A severed hand can become a tool of dark magic. A drowned sailor can become an omen of death. And a family betrayal can echo long after the bodies are buried. For Sam and Dean, the case ends, but the bigger question remains. What happens when family love becomes sacrifice? And what happens when that sacrifice starts to drown the people left behind? That's the real ghost following the Winchesters now. Not a sailor, not a ship, but Dean's deal. And Sam is running out of time. He can't stop it. Now for fun facts, behind the scenes info. Red Sky at Morning is season 3, episode 6 of Supernatural. It aired on November 8th, 2007. And this episode was directed by Cliff Bole and credited to writers Lawrence Andres and Jeremy Carver. This episode features Lauren Cohan as Bella Talbot, continuing her season 3 role as the stylish thief who uses supernatural knowledge for profit rather than hunting. And Bella is especially fun here because the story lets her be both antagonistic and victim. She cons people. She tricks Dean. She sells the Hand of Glory, then immediately needs the Winchesters to save her. This episode's central ghost ship is named the Espírito Santo, which means Holy Spirit in Portuguese. That name gives the haunting an extra layer of irony since the apparition functions less like a blessing and more like a death omen. And the Hand of Glory is based on real European folklore and occult legend. Traditionally, it was said to be the severed hand of a hanged man, sometimes used by thieves as magical tools. That makes it a perfect artifact for Bella Talbot. She treats dangerous supernatural objects like high-end merchandise, and people will spend millions of dollars to get their hands on stuff like this in real life, not just on Supernatural. And there's a fun horror history flavor to this episode because ghost ships have long been part of maritime folklore, with famous legends like the Flying Dutchman. And they often appeared as omens of doom. Supernatural kind of borrows that classic structure, but ties the haunting to betrayal between brothers, which makes the legend feel personal to Sam and Dean's world. Ellen Greer appears as Gertrude Case, whose aggressive flirting with Sam gives the episode one of its most uncomfortable and comedic subplots. The episode cast also includes Robert Maloney as Peter Warren, Samantha Simmons as Sheila Case, and Steve Lawler as the sailor's ghost. A funny character detail, Bella uses the alias Alex while working her scam on Gertrude. It's another reminder that Bella's greatest weapon isn't just her knowledge of the supernatural, it's her ability to become whoever her mark needs her to be. And behind the scenes, this episode was part of the shortened 3rd season, which was actually affected by the 2007-2008 Writers Guild of America strike. And season 3 ultimately had fewer episodes than originally planned. And if you're a big Supernatural fan like me, you have noticed this. So because of this, which is one of the reasons Bella and Ruby's season arcs, they kind of feel more compressed than they might have in a full-length season. And finally, the title Red Sky at Morning comes from the old sailor's warning. Red sky at morning, sailors take warning. It's a perfect title for an episode built around maritime omens and ghostly ships and the idea that danger can appear on the horizon before you understand exactly what it means. And that's all for this episode of Supernatural. If you enjoyed this episode, please remember to like, subscribe, and comment, and share this with other Supernatural fans. Thank you so much, and have a great weekend.